Hello and welcome to another episode of Paralysis. This time we will examine Jonathan Pageau's explanation of the Logos. We will then go through a practical participatory experiment which should allow you to judge the validity of his point for yourself. Let's start by listening to Jonathan talking about the Logos in a few different occasions.
And so St. Maximus explains that all things have a Logos, which is its reason for existing, its purpose, and its origin all at once, and even its end. So it's all those things at once. And on top of that, each thing has a multitude of logi. That's a word you've probably never heard before. The logi is the plural of logos. Now these logi, these essences, let's say, of things, they don't exist independently in the same way that scientists believe things exist out there. Rather, they exist as they come together, as they are joined together in our encounter with the world, in a pattern, we could say.
What symbolism does is that it shows you the pattern. That's what a pattern is. A pattern is a coherent fitting together of something which could be disparate. So you have all these disparate elements, and when you see how actually they come together and they become one thing. You know, I always tell people, why do we think that certain things are one thing? It's because there's something in us, there's a capacity we have to see unity, to see a pattern in anything, even a physical object. I always use the example of a microphone. Like, why do we think that a microphone is one thing? Why do we contain it in a category? And that's because it has a purpose and it has a pattern. And it's the same for everything.
Why is it that we know that something has parts, but it's also one thing at the same time? You ever thought about that? Right? You look at a chair. The chair has parts, right? It has different parts, different elements, different, Why do we think that that's one thing? Why do we say it's a chair? Why don't we just see the parts? And why don't we just see the parts all the way down? Because those parts go all the way down in the scientific world, all the way down to the quantum fields of particles that are just floating around. So then they stack up. They stack up towards these different stages of unity, and then in the human experience, we see it even more. Like, why do we think that this here, people coming here, why do we think that that's one thing? Why do we think that the United States of America is one thing? How do we get to that?
It is easy to think that what is being described here is some kind of abstract concept, but this is not the case. The logos of even a visually perceptible object resides at a fundamental level. Indeed, it is what allows us to perceive the object itself as a unit. To observe the process by which this happens, we will go through an experiment presented by Henri Bortoft in his beautiful book, The Wholeness of Nature. It is important that you follow through with the experiment for yourself, as your experience will be the deciding factor for the validity of the demonstration. Observe this image. What does it look like to you? Make sure you attend to what you perceive of it as an image. Feel free to pause the video and observe it for a bit, paying close attention to any pattern appearing. Now, if you haven't already seen it, look for the giraffe. Pause the video until you see it and make sure you focus on attending to the moment of it appearing. Take as much time as necessary. If you cannot see it, unpause the video and I will give you a hint. If you still haven't seen it, here's the hint. Try to play around a bit, mentally making the giraffe appear and disappear. Now notice a few things. If we ask two people, one that sees the giraffe and one that doesn't, to draw exactly what they see, they will produce the exact same drawing. The giraffe is obviously not on the paper. We actually see the meaning giraffe. We see the logos giraffe, or to be more precise, the logos of a pictorial representation of a giraffe. Now here is the crucial point. When you see an object, what you see is the meaning of the object. It might seem that what you see is something that is out there as a unit by itself, but honestly contemplating the world around you in light of what we just talked about should allow you to see that our world is not a world of objects in its deepest level, but a world of meaning. We are in essence swimming in this sea of meaning, but like the fish in the well-known story, we keep wondering what this elusive thing called water is supposed to be. In the field of philosophy, this discovery has actually been explored by the phenomenological tradition. It is, for instance, to be found in the writings of Heidegger, where one path to its experiential discovery is carefully mapped out. Unfortunately, due to the difficulty of the material, this realization hasn't become part of our cultural understanding. Even worse, it has been distorted into the relativism and eventual denial of the reality of meaning found in many postmodern works. But, who knows, things might be in the process of changing. Thank you for listening.